Hey, Christian Academy. It's hard to believe we're almost to the end of the school year, and I sure did hope that we would be together one more time in the chapel before the school year ended, but it just didn't work out that way. We got two more. This is the next to the last chapel talk, and I hope you'll listen carefully. I've got a challenge for you at the end, and thank you for listening. This is the Chapel Talk with Dr. Shell. Hey, Christian Academy. It's Dr. Shell here for another one of our chapel talks. This week, I want to talk to you about things that you hold special, things that to you are really valuable and important. Maybe you have a certain stuffed animal that you always like to sleep with or cuddle with or talk to. Maybe you have a favorite pair of jeans or a pair of shoes. Maybe there's something you really like to play with, and it's just special to you. Or maybe somebody gave you something. I have a couple of things I wanted to show you today that are really special to me. One of them is this, what looks like a little pot. This is an oil lamp, and it is 5,000 years old. This oil lamp is as old as Abraham in the Bible. And it came from the Bible lands. So they would have filled this up with oil, and then they would have put a wick in each of these corners, like a thing that you use for a candle, and they would have lit the four corners, and they would have used this to help light up their house, and they would put it on a table or carry it around, and this was their light. They didn't have electricity, so this was the way that they lit their house in the nighttime, and it's very special to me. I got this when I was in Israel. Several years ago. I was there on an archaeological dig. I was digging up ancient civilizations. It was really an awesome trip. And I went to an antique dealer and I bought a series of these oil lamps. And so this is one of my treasured possessions, this 5,000-year-old oil lamp. I also have this little dagger here. My sister, who got very ill while she was in graduate school and passed away, but when she was in college, she went on some mission trips. And one of them, she went to Russia, and she bought this really cool dagger that she brought back because she knew I liked drama and acting. And so I've used this actually in a couple different plays because it just looks really cool. I did a play of Aladdin, and you use this dagger. It doesn't have a sharp blade. I use it to open letters. And really, it just sits on my desk as a special gift from my sister. It helps me remember her. Maybe you've got some special things from one of your grandparents gave you, something that's really special to you. I also recently uncovered this gem. We were doing some cleaning around my house, and we found this. This is a rock collection. Do you like to collect rocks? This is a rock collection. I like to collect rocks too, and I'm going to show you a picture of a rock collection that I have been gathering up. Every time I go somewhere that has a special meaning, I try to see if I can get a rock from that area, and I keep them in my office just to remember where I've been, and God has blessed me to be able to go to a lot of really cool places, and I try if I can to get a rock and put it into that, and my children, I guess, picked up on that. So I have three children. This collection started with my oldest, whose name is Trinity, and she's a teacher in a fourth grade in elementary school here in Louisville too. And so she started collecting some rocks, and then each of my kids has added to it. And it's funny how each one added things that were special to them. So my first daughter loved pretty colored blue, and so she has lots of blue, and she got this little card that tells you all about rocks. And then my second daughter, named Autumn, she went to Christian Academy. She graduated there. She liked pink, and so we have lots of pink and purple rocks in here. They all sort of thought gold was cool. This is called fool's gold. It's not real gold, but it kind of looks like gold. And over the years, they've added all kinds of different fancy rocks to this collection. We even found some rocks. This has been shaped, but it looks like a heart. And reminds us that God wants us not to have a heart of stone, but He wants us to have a heart of flesh that He can write His word on. That's in the book of Ezekiel. And my son added some other things. He found some arrowheads that he bought at a flea market, and he added that to our collection. He also added this, which is a fossilized shark tooth. So this collection of rocks has just grown in my family, and I guess we'll keep it around and we'll just keep adding to it. And that reminded me of a passage of Scripture in the book of 1 Peter. Maybe you remember a couple weeks ago I talked about 1 Peter. This is a book that the Apostle Peter wrote to the early church that was really struggling. They were going through a really hard time. We don't know exactly what it was, but I think it's a good book for us right now when we're all going through a hard time. And it reminds us that even when things are difficult, even when we are suffering, even though when we don't know what's going on, that can cause a lot of fear and anxiety, that Peter wrote a letter to the church, and we get to inherit that. The whole Bible is something that we inherit from the church all the way back to the apostles, and it's something that helps guide our lives each and every day. So let me read you this passage and see if you can listen for the rocks. Peter says this: "Now coming to him," that's Jesus, "coming to Jesus as a living stone, which was rejected by men, but chosen and precious in the sight of God. You also are living stones, being built up into a spiritual house for a holy priesthood, to offer spiritual sacrifices acceptable to God through Jesus Christ. You are a chosen race, a royal priesthood, a holy nation, a people for God's own possession, so that you may proclaim the excellencies of him who called you out of darkness into his marvelous light." Now, there's several rocks in here. First of all, Peter reminds us that Jesus is the cornerstone, and he was rejected by people, and he was crucified, and people mocked him, and people didn't think a lot about him, but he came back from the dead, and so he is the cornerstone of our faith. The cornerstone is the stone that you set that helps everything else. It's like a foundation. It's like your basement, in the basement of your house. Kind of everything is built on that. Jesus is our basement, our foundation, our cornerstone. And then we, all of us, are living stones. That's kind of funny because we think a stone is kind of like dead. It doesn't move. It doesn't have any breath. But he wants to say that we are like living stones, and we're building up a house for God. Each one of us is like a brick, we talked about Lego bricks. Like each one of us adds to it, and it makes a special structure where God can be worshiped and honored. And each of us has a part to play in that. And then Peter goes on, and he gets really excited. And he says, "You are a chosen race. You are a royal priesthood. You're a holy nation." And then I love this part right here. You are God's own possession. I mean, a treasure. You are something that God really values. And he sees you as a special treasure. Just like, you know what? I wouldn't sell this dagger for any amount of money because it was given to me by my sister. I can't get another one. And it is priceless. This oil lamp is a really special to me. Not only because it's that old, but because while I was in Israel and I was digging and learning about God and about the world in which Jesus lived, I bought this there, and it is very special to me. Well, guess what? You are God's special possession. And you know, sometimes when you're young, it's easy to think, except for your parents, who even cares? Who even knows about me? Maybe especially during this quarantine, you're stuck in your room a lot, stuck at home, and you start to wonder, does anybody even miss me? Does anybody even know I'm here? The good news from 1 Peter is that no matter what we are going through, we are God's special treasured possession. He loves you, and he keeps you, and he holds you because he thinks you are awesome. And he has you in his little collection box of treasures that he wouldn't trade anything for. In fact, Jesus gave his life because God loved you that much, and he wanted you as part of his collection. So this week, I want you to think about the treasures that you have. Look around your room. Think about the things that you have that you think are so special and that you really appreciate. Maybe your parents could take a few minutes and show you some things that they have, that maybe they have from their parents or grandparents, or maybe gifts that they received that are very special to them. It has nothing to do with the dollar sign. It has nothing to do with how much they cost. It's that they are just really special to them. And then I want you to think that as special as those things are, that's how special you are to God. There's nobody like you, and He holds you as a special, treasured possession. So I hope that encourages you. Share that with somebody else. Realize how special you are and how special everybody is in the sight of God. Well, thanks for listening. God bless you. Okay, so here's your Lego challenge for this week. This coming Sunday is Mother's Day, of course. So I'm going to challenge you to do something with Lego that connects to your mother. So you can do, try to make a minifig that looks like your mom. I remember in chapel one time telling you that that's called the sig fig. If you make a minifig that's supposed to look like somebody, that's called a sig fig. It's their signature fig. And I use mine all the time, like you saw there at the beginning of the chapel talk. So I'm going to challenge you to either make your mother as a minifig or make something that makes you think of your mother. What are some things that your mother does, or some things you appreciate about your mother? My mother has passed away, but she was a wonderful cook. And to this day, I love to cook, and I owe a lot of the way I cook and how much I enjoy cooking to her. So something that makes you think about your mom, something you're thankful about your mom. Here I have a picture of our family. I don't know what your traditions are. Mother's Day, we always have a cake and a special meal and give my wife and some presents. And so maybe you could show me what your Mother's Day traditions look like, or just use your imagination. Maybe there's somewhere you'd like to take your mother, maybe back to the past, maybe into the future. Maybe there's some place you'd like to take your mom this year that you can't because of the quarantine. So use your imagination and give me something out of Lego that makes you think of your mother. All right, we'll look forward to seeing what you come up with.